Zdravo, kako sti? It's your girl, Nix in Serbia. Listen, I just learned that Dobar dan actually starts after 9 a.m. in the morning. Like, I was walking and saying, Dobro jutro. No, after 9 a.m. Guys, like, let me know these secrets. I don't know these things. That's okay, my pharmacist told me. Today, we're going to talk all about, is Serbia safe? I actually speak with so many of my subscribers or my viewers who reach out to me. We end up having video chats, calls, etc. And in every single conversation I hear, is Serbia safe? So what I really want to do is dive into my experiences. Again, these are my experiences. I can't speak for anybody else. All I can speak on is how I feel, how my children feel, and conversations that I'm having. Listen, as bubbly as you see me here, I'm the same in public, and I'm speaking to anyone and everyone, especially when I find out they speak English. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited because obviously it is difficult being a bubbly person like this and not being able to communicate. But I'm working on it. I'm getting better. I had a success this week. I was so excited. So I went for a meeting with a developer who is doing a little subdivision. They're building like a condo or apartment stan. And they asked me in Serbian, how much Serbian do you speak? And I understood. I know you guys are thinking like, why wouldn't you understand? I only speak English. And so when people speak to me in a different language, everything just mushes in my head and I freeze. Like the words that I knew, I no longer even know. And my husband even says like, when someone asks your phone number, you know this. And I'm like, but at that moment, I know nothing. I don't even know my name at that moment. Again, guys, Nix in Serbia, let's get into this. Is Serbia safe? Let's go. But before I talk about is it safe, I need to brag to my North American, especially my Canadians. Guys, it's March. It's the beginning of March and the trees are blooming. We're seeing flowers already. There's no snow. It's gonna be like 21 degrees on Tuesday. Okay, I just had to brag for a moment. Back to my Serbs who are my faithful subscribers and who are the majority of my subscribers, believe it or not. And I thought I was making this for expats, but I still am, and I'm making it for you Serbs as well. Okay, my first answer, when people say to me, is Serbia safe? Compared to where? Where are we comparing is Serbia safe to? Now, I am not a well-traveled person in my personal opinion. I'm going to give you the rundown of the places I've been in the world so that I can let you know how I feel about Serbia in regards to whether or not it's safe. I have been to, obviously, all over the GTA, which is the Greater Toronto Area in Ontario, Toronto, Canada. I have been to Jamaica several times, Cuba, the Dominican, Aruba, Barbados, Bahamas, Las Vegas, Florida, California, Greece, North Macedonia. That's pretty much it. I'm sure I've missed a couple places like, of course, I've been to New York, New Jersey. Those are so close to Toronto. I mean, everyone pretty much from Toronto has been there. Detroit. We could never compare Serbia to Detroit. That's just not even fair. I don't know. I guess I'm not well-traveled, but I'm well-traveled on the side of North America and the Caribbean in that sense. So when people say to me, is it safe in Serbia? I'm comparing it to what I know from those places. So let me answer your question. Is Serbia safe? I've never felt safer. Guys, you have to consider the source though, again, from where I've traveled. Those places that I'm explaining pretty much all have ridiculous amounts of homicides, gun issues, knife issues, rapes, all types of sexual assaults, all types of racial targeted assaults. So while I'm speaking on that, again, I'm not saying from Europe. I don't know about the rest of Europe, but in comparing it to Greece, Serbia feels safe. In Canada, we have sadly, so many drug addicts that are so high out of their mind. And I'm not talking marijuana. I'm talking like hard drugs. I'm talking like meth. I'm talking heroin, LSD. We're talking things that like people are just bath salts out of their mind. So even if their nature would not be to hurt you, when they're in that state, you are in harm's way. I'm talking about a country where I go to a playground and see dirty used condoms or dirty needles in some parts of town. And so I am also speaking from a part of like, is it safe for me? Yes. Is it safe for my kids in Serbia? Yeah, that's how we feel. Like in Canada, people were, we had an incident right near my house, and a mom was at the park with her child, and the person tried to rip her child right from her. We have shootings and stabbings happening in almost every high school nearby as a regular occurrence. It's not like, oh no, that happened? How did that happen? This is a regular occurrence and no longer like, oh my God, it's now like, is the kid okay? We've become almost insensitive to how serious stabbings and shootings are because it's become so natural in conversation. Hey, there was another stabbing. Hey, there was another shooting. Hey, there was a shootout on the highway. Speaking of highways, in Serbia, I am not seeing crazy road rage. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people who will take it to the next level. But in Canada, way too frequently, every single day, at some point, you either see road rage or you're involved in some type of road rage where people are shooting guns on the highway, chasing one another, getting out and fist fighting or putting somebody in the hospital over somebody's bad driving habits. And while this may be happening in Serbia, I'm not saying that it's not. What I'm saying is what I've seen. And also, I'm on the road driving 40 minutes one way and then 40 minutes back every single day. Svaki dan. So I'm seeing a lot on the roads. I see a lot of accidents, but I'm still not seeing rage. I'm not seeing people pulling guns or stabbing one another or chasing one another on the road over anger. And that is something that makes you feel unsafe. Now, as a female driver, and I know there's this stigma that female drivers are not good drivers, I am going to tell you I'm a fantastic driver. So in Canada, while I would see these things, I really wasn't involved in them unless I was the one angry. And part of the anger in Canada comes from the fact that people are so stressed out. People are so overworked and exhausted that by the time that someone cuts in front of you on the road, you are so pissed off that was the straw. This is what we say in Canada. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, meaning that was the last thing you needed before you lost your mind. And believe me when I'm saying lose your mind. Now, speaking in regards to children, I am still in this whole like Canadian conditioning is what I call it. And if you've watched my other videos, I'm sure you've heard me mention Canadian conditioning. So when my kids say to me like, can I go to the park or to the soccer field here in Serbia? My answer is still hesitant. I pause. I think like, is it safe? And then I say to myself, Nicole, this is what you moved here for. You moved here to give them the opportunity to be able to go to the park or a soccer field and not feel that you need to go with them and sit outside the park. Another example, I'm seeing like 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds with so much independence in Serbia. A 7-year-old and 8-year-old from Canada, and I'm even talking from my own my nephew, cannot compare when it comes to the independence level that the children have here. Now, how does that reference to is it safe? Those children have that independence level because the parents feel comfortable knowing that when their kid goes to the store, there's not going to be a robbery in the store. The cashier's not going to take them for granted and steal their money or give them the wrong change. And you're also going to know that if there's any other moms or dads seeing this child or your child in the store and struggling with anything, the majority of the Serbian community is going to help your little one. And that's not to say that other people should raise your child, but the reality is there's always been a saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And that just means that I should be able to trust that when my kid is out, you're going to treat your child as you would your own and say, you know what, I need to look out for this little one for a moment because something just seems a little off. So back to what I'm saying, I'm seeing like 7-year-olds bring home bags of like potatoes and beans, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like watching them and I'm perplexed. And these children sometimes look at me and then I like quickly look away because I don't want them to think I'm some type of freak. I am just wowed at the fact that they have more independence than I actually give my 15 and 16-year-olds. Because Canada, if you're sending them to the store, you're driving them there, you're sitting outside, and in fact, if they take too long, you're going inside to see what's taking so long to make sure they're okay. Or you're calling them on the phone to say, is everything okay? Because we have these trust issues that are so deeply rooted in us from everything we see and hear, not only in mainstream media, but just amongst the community of what people are saying are happening. I mean, when I'm telling you, apothekas, pharmacies are being robbed so regularly that, again, your first question is anyone dead? Like, is everybody okay? It's not, there's no moment for a wow factor. Because again, that wow factor was taken away because we are conditioned now for the environment that we were living in. So I am now letting my kids go out into the town or the city and do things on their own, and my stomach is in knots. I'm like feeling sick, and I'm speaking to other Canadian parents or Americans who are here, and they're feeling the same. So our kids have to go to Saturday school right now. I know, they hate it. But the first day, I'm with a Canadian couple, and their child is also going with my children. And we arrive, and the mom is getting out to bring them into the school. And I'm like, hey, I won't use her name, but I'm like, hey, this is social suicide. In Serbia, 15-year-olds should be able to walk themselves into school and have the confidence to figure out where they're going on the first day and be independent enough to take care of themselves. And she paused and looked at her son and said, okay, are you okay? And he said, yeah. And I looked at my kids and they had this kind of like, and I said, guys, you have phones. You have 3 brains. You guys got to be able to figure this out. Lo and behold, of course they figured it out. Of course they figured it out. How bad would it have been if these 15-year-olds walked in with a mother into the class? What would these kids think of them when you have 7 and 8-year-olds who are able to do that? They don't think, oh, wow, that's just because they're Canadian. No. They're about to be like, made fun of either behind their back or to their face, and I don't blame anyone because they don't actually know where we're coming from. So now they easily walk in there on Saturdays. They know where they're going. They're like, so what room is it in today? And they just go. That is the independence a 15 and 16-year-old have. And I mean, that's still not even cutting the umbilical cord is what we say. That's not even still detaching because we're still driving them there. They're not riding their bike. They're not walking. They're not taking public transit. Why? Because again, public transit in Canada is so unsafe. It is safe from what I hear in Serbia. I hear teenagers are constantly taking public transit. And some expats whose kids have been here now for 2 or 3 years, they're saying, listen, my kids have never had a problem on public transit. They go to and from school, they go out with friends, they go to the mall. Everything is okay. Now, I'm still taking baby steps. I have to admit that I'm part of the problem, but I'm also part of the solution. I am doing this in steps where they feel comfortable and I feel comfortable. But again, is Serbia safe? Absolutely. When I'm thinking of places like in Jamaica, I wouldn't be doing this. And you know what? Young children do go about the streets, but there's still a high amount of crime there. Anywhere in the States is so high in crime that as an adult walking down the street, I'm uncomfortable. Here, I would let my daughter, and I've been told it's okay, and I would once I get there, again, baby steps, walk down the street at night with a couple friends. Not by yourself, but with a couple friends. In Canada, if your daughter is going to a friend's house who lives like 2-3 kilometers away, you drive your child to that friend's house and then you pick them up and bring them home. Not because you don't trust your child while they're out there, because again, you are so concerned that they will be raped, sexually assaulted, human trafficked. There's all types of concerns and things that run through your head that are not made up because you hear it and you see it, and people go missing all the time, never heard from again. Man, the stories I could tell you guys about my life that I haven't even gotten into. I mean, I talk to you guys, but I still haven't had the courage yet to tell you about my background, where I'm from, who I am, why I am the way I am. I didn't have my life easy. And I don't have family. I think I've told you guys this before, but I want you to know that they're alive. Okay? So my family is my husband's family and my children. It ends there. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. I know I do this all the time. Let me get back into, is Serbia safe? Obviously, there's a link between my history, my past, and safety and feeling safe and security. That may very well be part of the reason that I felt so encouraged to move here, is that when I traveled here, being in an unfamiliar place should feel scary. And I didn't feel scared. I didn't feel scared wandering around new places, alleyways, places that have graffiti. I didn't feel scared. I felt comfortable. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of safety measures in place in Serbia that can also give you comfort, such as those deadbolts on apartment doors. Never seen anything like it. Not even in New York, California, on Hollywood. Never seen anything like this. It's got like 5 deadbolts here, 1 in the top, 1 in the bottom. When you turn it, you can turn it 4 times and it just goes deeper and deeper. If that doesn't also help you feel a little bit safer, not sure what will, but being able to really lock yourself in your home feels great. I'm seeing such a high police presence everywhere I go in Serbia, even in the towns. While yes, majority of them are traffic officers, and we never like to see traffic officers. Every driver knows that, but that is still police presence, and they are still officers. Meaning that if you were really in harm's way or you needed an officer, you can easily go and speak to the officers that are present throughout each town or village that I've seen, and all the cities. The cities have cameras in tunnels and at traffic lights, and you just can't help but to look around and think, wow, they've done a great job. Majority of these cameras are for speeding, but again, this can also go back to safety, right? Like if a serious accident happens or a hit and run of a pedestrian and there was a camera, chances are that person's gonna get caught. that gives you that added layer of safety. Different than in the crime sense, more on the, pedestrian safety while you're walking. But safety is safety, and we all feel safe in different ways. We're all looking for safety overall, but different things give you different feelings. So it's nice to know that even if your children are walking, there are erratic drivers, don't get me wrong, but the reality is, God forbid something actually happened, cameras are going to catch it. For the most part. Now, don't get me wrong, I know, not just I think, I know that men will be men. Some girls too, but men will be men, and fistfights are still happening. But for the most part, they're fistfights. They're not stabbings or shootings. They're not any of that. It's literally a fistfight or a smack across the face to be like, smarten up. Now, that is a lot more tolerable. We're not talking gangs. In Canada or the US, we're talking gangs. I'm not talking about mafia. I know you guys have that in Serbia. So does Canada. I'm talking about gang violence, random shootings over drug money, over all these different things, over territory. That is also something that we're not experiencing. Are there gangs here? Yes. Is their presence known the way it is in Canada? Not the same. Again, there's gangs. You see it in their graffiti. You see it on the walls. They do exist here, but they exist everywhere. And it's now the question you have to ask is, does it affect your life? And at this point in my kids' school, in our ventures through the streets, in seeing the youth, and speaking to my, I guess you'd call him my husband's brother, it is his first cousin for my North Americans, about the gangs and the violence and if it's really a problem. It's not. Guys, it's just not. I'm safe. So the craziest thing happened one day. Like, this car pulled up and I'm like, it's not a cop. That's really weird. It's got like sirens. The guy gets out and he's got a gun. And I'm like, why does he have a gun? My husband explained to me, security guards here, not all of them, but some of them, security guards here carry guns. They carry guns. There's security all over. I mean, all throughout the mall, stores, random stores you go into, cell phone stores, there's security. And to me, some of them having guns is like, whoa. So speaking of scary whoa moments, we were in Novi Sad, obviously, and all of a sudden I'm hearing like all these sirens and I'm like, what is that? Because really, I find that the emergency task force here, the emergency personnel here, meaning like police, firemen, ambulance, rarely use their sirens. Anyways, so I'm hearing crazy sirens and I'm like, what's that? And I see regular police car and they're yelling like something out the window and showing like move, move, move. And then I see these black trucks behind them and they're wearing baklavas and only their eyes are showing and they've got this gear on and all their windows are down. And like this entourage of them came, and then at the end was another officer. And I was like, whoa, straszno. What did I just see? Apparently, those are for very important people. They're headed somewhere. That was scary stuff. I'm going to consider that like our SWAT in Canada, but let me tell you, these guys are a lot scarier than our SWAT. As always, I love answering your questions. I love being able to address how I feel in Serbia. Now, some questions have been like, Nix, why are you sharing the news in Canada? I thought you ran away from that. I did. And I started sharing it because I felt like so many Serbs were like, no, Canada's still great. No, it's great. So it's only a temporary thing. And it's really just showcasing what's actually happening, which is why I'm only doing it on Fridays. I get it's not for all of you. And some of these videos aren't for everybody. But the reality is I feel that it's important to share it. So that's why I'm sharing it. I love chatting with you guys every single Monday, vlogging. I've got weeks of content to talk to you about. I can't wait to share more stories as things go on. We have made some decisions that are relatively new that I will be sharing in the near future. And again, if you have anything that you want to connect with me or share or ask me, feel free to either leave it in the comments. I also have my email there, my Instagram. I'm the fastest at responding now that someone showed me that I had messages waiting. But anyways, talk to you soon. Vidimo se. Zdravo. Bye, guys, to my Canadians, my North Americans, my English-speaking people. I love talking to you, and I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.